I'd like to start this first class of the new year with a story that I've always loved, and it's about a diamond thief who was an absolute fabulous pickpocket. And what he'd do is he'd hang around the diamond district, and when somebody would come and buy a diamond, he'd just follow them and always manage to get it from them. So a very a wealthy, well-known diamond merchant came to town, and this guy said, he's my target. And he bought the most beautiful diamond imaginable. And so the thief followed him, and he boarded a train and took a 3-day journey, and he kept trying to pick the merchant's pocket and obtain the diamond, but by the end of the journey, he hadn't found the gem. So he was really frustrated because he was an accomplished thief. He had some pride in himself. So he actually confronted the guy, and he confessed. He said, look, I've used every skill of my art. How did you hide it from me? Where did you put it? And so the merchant said, well, I saw you, and I suspected what was happening, so I hid the diamond in the place you'd most likely look to find it. I hid it in your own pocket, you know. So the teaching is an obvious one, which is that the treasure we seek is closer than we can imagine. The treasure we seek, what we're all longing for, is not in the future, it's not down the road, it's not outside of us. You know, it's in the awareness and heart that's right here. And perhaps one of the best understandings of the spiritual path is that it's forgetting and remembering. That every one of it, doesn't matter how long we've practiced and been on the path, we all kind of go into trance. We forget that's true. And we get into kind of our habitual activities. And then there's a remembering, like, oh, pause, it's here. So one of the ways of thinking about it is that we're out trying to chase after the diamond and have to keep remembering it's inside. And Thoreau put it this way. He said, you spend your life fishing only to realize it's not fish that you're after, you know. So how do we do it? We look at any day and we can see how much time we're planning things and worrying about things and trying to check things off the list. And it's so easy in our preoccupation to go through really long swaths of time and forget that what matters to us is feeling connected, feeling at home, feeling a sense of gratitude, being alive. There's a cartoon I like, and it's a graveyard, and there's the thought bubble that's coming out of the grave, and the thought bubble is saying, I think I know what I want to do with my life. And the caption underneath is, Ed pushes the late bloomer envelope to surprising new limits, you know. So remembering what matters. And I think of it like all of the practices we do, whatever path we're on, all the rituals and ceremonies are always about remembering. They're always about re-waking us up out of trance so we remember what we cherish, so we get more aligned with our hearts. So tonight we're going to be exploring what are called the 3 refuges. It's also known as the triple gem, which are, in the Buddhist tradition, the 3 pathways of remembering that are really kind of at the heart of the path. And interestingly, you'll find these same 3 pathways in many religions and many spiritual paths. And that's because they're archetypal. And you'll see what I mean by that in a bit. But each of these refuges or pathways has the power to wake us up from our narrative, our story about who we are, that has that kind of limited sense of a self who's separate and usually deficient, and wake us up into a much more vast sense of the awareness and love that's here, each one of them. The 3rd refuge in Sangha, is refuge in loving relationship. And the outer ways of taking refuge are engaging in conscious relationship, whether it's with our friends, with our family, with our partners, and also in formal places, like we could be with 12-step groups. Our refuge and Sangha could be in the Buddhist communities. We have spiritual friends groups. They're called Kalyanamitta groups. We have in Washington about 30-some of these groups where people meet once every other week and they'll do a meditation and then really explore what's happening in our lives. And it's in that field of relationship that the magic happens. Because the gift of refuge in Sangha, in relationship, is we wake up out of that sense of an isolated, separate self and realize this field of presence that we belong to. So one of the big misunderstandings on the path is kind of that we're a self waking up, that we're doing it in our own little cave. And again, at this retreat that we just came from, I could see how we all arrived and we had come from a little bit of a busy, frenzied world. We were a little bit more in that trance of a separate self trying to get somewhere. And so when we were sitting in the hall initially, there was more of that sense of tightness. There was more of that sense of just separation. And then by the end of the retreat, after a number of days of coming back home into the senses and being in, some small groups where we have very conscious kind of connecting and sharing of what's going on, the heart space, the feeling of the field was palpable. Refuge in loving relatedness means very consciously engaging with each other. Our brains evolve in our relationship with caregivers. We cannot become a mature person if there's not some field of relationship that's going on. We're influencing each other all the time. So to realize the truth of who we are means really to be engaged with each other. And the challenge is we're so conditioned to feel separate. And when we feel separate, we think something's wrong with us, and they go together. So one story to share with you, and this is about, I think, 3 years ago at a retreat. One friend from our community, our extended community, he's practicing, he's actually serving up at the Insight Meditation Society right now. We had a meeting, and he was very sunk in self-doubt and feeling very flawed and feeling very, very isolated. So I asked him, is there anything you like about yourself? I was going to go the metta approach, loving kindness approach. What can you appreciate about your goodness? And he said, well, at times I can be kind. So I wanted to get more in touch with it. I said, okay, an example. When were you kind recently? He said, well, actually yesterday, across the hall I saw this old woman sitting there on a chair and her legs were dangling because she was too short to reach the ground. So I walked across the hall with my cushion and I put my cushion under her feet. And it felt awkward. People were watching me, but I felt good about that. So I had him do what I often have people do, is get in touch with that good feeling and feel it and let it, and then get in touch with that sense of connection with this woman that you helped out, and really open to that, and he could do that, and he could feel in those moments he wasn't that small deficient self. He felt the truth of being in a field, being in that kind of sense of connectedness, and when he was in that, I asked the question, who are you, when you're in that field? And he could feel the freedom of that. That's the freedom of taking refuge in Sangha. So before we ended, before I said goodbye, I thanked him for his kindness to that old woman across the room. And I let him know that it was my mother, because it was. And of course, we both started crying because it was a very touching moment. But the connections are real. I mean, he wove a connection by reaching out. And we weave those connections, taking refuge in loving relatedness, whether we're reaching out and giving, or whether we're receiving, whether we're appreciating each other or receiving appreciation. There are so many ways that it happens. So that's the outer taking of refuge. And the inner is just as this man did when I said to him, okay, now just feel that, you offered the kindness, and just feel that sense of, that love, that presence that's here. The inner refuge is just opening to loving presence, just feeling it. We'll close with one of my favorite prayers. This is written by Diane Ackerman. In the name of daybreak and the eyelids of morning and the wayfaring moon and the night when it departs, I swear I will not dishonor my soul with hatred, but offer myself humbly as a guardian of nature, as a healer of misery, as a messenger of wonder, as an architect of peace. In the name of the sun and its mirrors and the uttermost night and the crowning seasons of the firefly and the apple, I will honor all life wherever and in whatever form it may dwell, on earth my home and in the mansions of the stars.